This video is over dividing fractions. So first we need to talk about a vocabulary term, and that's the multiplicative inverse. The product of a number and its multiplicative inverse is 1. So sometimes you will also hear this, or most often, as the reciprocal. An example of multiplicative inverse of 3/4 is 4/3, because as we learned last week, when you multiply these and you multiply these, it gives you 12 over 12, and 12 over 12 is 1. Therefore, these two are multiplicative inverses or reciprocals. So to divide by a fraction, what we're actually going to do is multiply by its reciprocal. All mixed numbers must first be converted to improper fractions, just like with our multiplication part. So there is a little rhyme to help you remember this. It's dividing fractions. Don't be shy. Flip the second one over and multiply. For example, 4/5 divided by 1/3. Instead of dividing by 1/3, instead we are going to multiply by the reciprocal. That gives us 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 1 is 5, which this is improper. So 5 goes into 12 two times with 2 left over. And then, of course, the denominator stays the same. This is review from last week. So the only new part is that instead of dividing by something, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reason this works is because when you write 4/5 divided by 1/3, that gets really messy. So if I multiply by the reciprocal, we already realized that this equals 1. But remember, whenever you're dealing with a fraction, if you're going to multiply the bottom by something, you also have to multiply the top. So since this is 1, the bottom of the fraction ends up going all away. So when we originally started dividing by 1/3, by multiplying by the reciprocal instead, it made that weird division part just go away. So dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. Do you have to show me all that every time? No, I just need to make sure that you understand. So 8/9, instead of dividing by 1/2, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which means we flip it. So multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, and turn into a mixed. 9 goes into 16 one time with 7 left over. Now we're not allowed to have mixed numbers when we do this because again we're going to end up multiplying fractions. So 5 times 4 is 20 plus 1 is 21. And then this is dividing by 4 over 1. Instead I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, and simplify if necessary. 16 goes into 21 one time with 5 left over. So that's 1 and 5/16. Sorry, that's messy. Our next example, again, we have to have improper, no mixed numbers, all fraction form. So I'm going to do 8 over 1 times the reciprocal. So taking 8 and dividing it by 1/3 is the same thing as multiplying by 3, which gives us 24. 12 times 2 is 24, plus 1 is 25. And then this is 3 over 1. I want to multiply by the reciprocal. So 25 times 1 is 25. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 goes into 25 4 times, because 6 times 4 is 24. And that means there's going to be 1 left over. "12 acres of land are to be divided into 1½ acre lots." So we have 12 acres divided into 1 1/2 acre lots. We want to know how many lots there will be. So we're taking that space of 12 acres and we're dividing it so that each one has 1½ so into groups of 1½ So that'll tell us how many there actually are. So 12 over 1 divided by, that's 2 plus 1 is 3. I need to change this into a multiplication problem. So I multiply by the reciprocal. That's going to give me 24 over 3, which simplifies to 8. So there will be, 8 lots. The next example says we have 6 1/4 pounds of cashews, and those will be divided into 3/4 pound bags. So all of these cashews are going to be divided into 3/4 pound bags, which will tell me how many bags I need. So this is 21 over 4. When I turn it into improper, 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21, multiplied by the reciprocal. 21 times 4 is 84. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 goes into 84 6 times? 7 times? Yes, 7 times. So there should be 7 bags. And I knew that because 12 times 7 gives me 14, carry my 1. There's that 84. So it divides evenly for me. Last example for this note is Damon is making bookmarks like the one shown from 15-yard spool of ribbon. How many bookmarks can he make? Well, if each bookmark is 10.5, I need to take that 15 yards and divide it into 10.5. But notice it's inches and yards. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is multiply 15 times 3. That's going to turn it into feet. And then times 12, which will turn it into inches. So 45 times 12 is 540. And that's what I'm going to be dividing into 10.5-inch pieces. So 540 over 1 is going to be multiplied by, this is 10 times 2 is 20, plus 1 is 21. The reciprocal, so 2 over 21. This is going to be 1,080 divided by 21. I have no idea how many times that goes in, so I'm actually going to have to go over to the side and do a little bit of quick math. So 21 goes into 108. Sorry, 5 times, because 21 times 5 is 105. That gives me 3 left over, and I'm going to drop down my 0. 21 goes into 30 one time with 9 left over. Now, at this point, I would add a decimal and keep going, but it says how many bookmarks can he make. We're not going to make a part of a bookmark, so I'm just going to say that this is about 51 bookmarks, because it doesn't matter how much he has left over. I don't have enough to make another bookmark. So that's it for today. Please complete the next few pages in your booklet.